Hi, Room 15. It is Thursday, May 7th, 2020. We are going to be continuing to work on our multiplication unit. Today, we're going to represent arrays using rows and columns and math drawings. So our learning targets for today are we can use multiplication strategies to solve multiplication problems. We can distinguish rows and columns. This word distinguish means to recognize the difference between two or more things. So we are going to be able to distinguish or recognize the difference between a row from a column or a column from a row. And then we can use math drawings to represent arrays. So your lesson materials that you need for today is you need to get your math journal. If you're using your math journal, turn to a blank page to draw on. You can also just use a blank piece of paper, and then everyone needs a pencil. So you need to be able to have space to practice drawing an array, okay? So on Tuesday, we learned to compose an array. So remember that word compose? It means to create or put together. So please draw 3 groups of 5 on your paper. You want to make each group a column. So if each group is a column and you have 3 groups, that means you're going to have 3 columns of 5. And then make sure you draw lines to separate your columns. So go ahead and pause your video and draw your array. And then when you're done, please unpause. Okay, so your array should look similar to this. And are the columns horizontal or vertical lines? They are vertical lines because they go up and down. So I asked you to draw 3 groups of 5, and each group is a column. So as you can see, we have 3 columns, and each column has 5 little beans. So how do we find the product? Remember what that word product means? It means the total amount in your array, or the total amount in a multiplication problem. So we need to use our multiplication strategies. And what are the strategies that we've been working on all week? So we have 3 columns of 5, and it's repeated addition. So we have 5 plus 5 plus 5, which equals 15. You can also skip count. So you could just add, to find the product, you could write or add 5, 10, and then 15. So now you need to change your array. So you're going to create a whole new array on your paper that you're using. Please draw 5 rows of 3 on your paper. So there should be 5 equal groups. The groups are shown in an array. So now this is where you're distinguishing the difference between a row and a column. So at first we worked with columns, and now we are working with rows. So you can pause your video, and then once you're done with your array, you may unpause. So that's what your array should look like. We have 5 rows of 3. And are the rows horizontal or vertical lines? They are horizontal because they go from left to right. Remember, up and down is vertical, left to right is horizontal. So how do we find the product? Remember, the product is the total amount in a multiplication problem, or the product would be how many are in our array. We need to use multiplication strategies. So to remind you, we have 5 rows of 3. So we could use repeated addition. 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, which equals 15. And we could skip count. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Okay, so what do you notice about the arrays? So these are a picture of the arrays that you just looked at, okay? So the top array is the array that, on the one on the left, is the array that has the columns. And then the array on the right is the array that we just looked at, and it has the rows. So what do you notice is the difference? So take a minute to think about it. Just take a look at our arrays. How are they different? How are they similar? Okay, so some things you could have noticed about the two arrays are they both show 15 beans. They have the same product. They look the same. Spelled that wrong. They look the same, but the lines on the top array show columns, which is this array. And the array on the bottom shows rows, which is this array. And then the arrays are multiples of 5 and 3. So in some way, we have the number 5 and the number 3 in this array because it's 3 rows. I'm sorry, 3 columns and then 3 columns of 5. And in this array, it's 5 rows of 3. So it's multiples of 5 or 3. If you don't know what that word multiple means, it means it's the same number repeated, okay? That's what the word multiple means. You just take like a number or an object and you create it over and over, okay? Or you repeat it over and over. Okay, so let's practice drawing some arrays on your paper, okay? This is what the goal is today, just to practice drawing some of those arrays. So I'm gonna share my screen here on my iPad. Okay, let me move this down over here, and I'm gonna close these windows so they aren't distracting. Okay, so hopefully you can see my white paper. So I would like you to draw an array. So the first array that we're gonna draw, let's do 4 rows of 2, okay? 4 rows of 2. And you want to separate your array using lines. So if you need to pause your video, go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm gonna draw X's for my rows, okay? So I need 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, let's use our multiplication strategies. Okay, we can use repeated addition. So we have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which equals 8. And remember, 8 is our product. Okay, so now let's do 4 columns. Let's distinguish the difference of 2. So go ahead and pause. Okay, so you should have drawn your array. So I'm going to draw my lines first. So now I need to draw vertical lines. At first I drew horizontal lines. Now I need to draw vertical lines. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So I have 4 columns of 2. And once again, my repeated addition, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, which equals 8. So my friends, let's go to our first array. We have the same product. So we are multiplying the number 2. And how many times? 4 times, because there are 4 rows. So you would write 2 times 4, which equals 8. That's our multiplication equation. Array number 2. You are still repeating the number 2. It's multiples of 2. So once again, it's the number 2 4 times, which equals 8. So it's 2 times 4, okay? So let's try again. Okay, so can you show me 5 rows of 4? Go ahead and pause your video and draw 5 rows of 4. So you should be drawing your lines like this, and you want to draw 5 of them. And then you should have 4 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're using your multiplication strategies to find the product, you can skip count or you can write a repeated addition equation. So you're adding the number 4 5 times, which if you're writing that multiplication equation, it's the number 4 because this is the number that's being repeated. And then the number the number of times that it's repeated is right here because it's 4 5 times. So 4 plus 4 is 8. 4 plus 4 is 8 plus 4. 8 plus 8 is 16 plus 4, which equals 20. So the product is 20. Now let's switch it up. Let's do 4 columns of 5. Okay, 4 columns of 5. So if you need to pause your video, go ahead and do that. And then unpause when you are done. Okay, so remember, columns go like this, and we only need 4 of them. And we have 5 in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 5. I'm going to skip count. 10, 15, 20. Or you could use repeated addition to find the product. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5. How to think about how many times I said the number 5. So it's 20. You can't see it. 20. Oh, it's too long. Let's write it down here. 20. So it is now the number 5 times 4 because it's 4 times, which equals 20. Okay, so let's take a look at our homework today. Oh, actually, let me recap. So we just distinguished the difference between rows, which is right here, and columns. So that was the main focus of today, just to review the difference between rows and columns. So now your assignment for the day is going to look similar to this, okay? So you are, there we go. You're going to be drawing arrays, okay? You need to make sure that you read each question very carefully. So let's look at question number 1. One row of an array is drawn below. Oh, much better. Let's do that. Okay, one row of an array is drawn below. Complete the array with x's to make 4 rows of 5. So we already have 1 row, so I just need to add on 3 more to make a total of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we're going to draw horizontal lines to separate the rows, which we already did that. Remember, horizontal is this way. So now it looks like that's all we needed to do. So now question B is draw an array with x's that has 4 columns of 5. So, and then it says draw vertical lines, which are like that. So I'm just going to draw my vertical lines first because I like to just keep track. So 4 columns of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is exactly what we just did. Okay, so I should have 5 in each. I like to go back and check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because sometimes you might miss an x. And then if you need to write a repeated addition equation to find the product. 5 plus 5 plus 5 plus 5, which equals 20. 4 rows of 5 equals 20. 4 columns of 5 equals 20. Same product. Okay, because it's the same numbers that you're working with, either multiples of 4 or multiples of 5. Draw an array of x's with columns of 4. So columns, 3 columns of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then question B. Draw an array of x's with 3 rows of 5. Now we're distinguishing the difference between the rows and columns. At first we used columns, now we're using rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fill in the blanks. So it's 4 plus 4 plus 4, which equals 12. 3 columns of 4 equals 12. 3 rows of 4 equals 12. So if I were to write my multiplication problem, it would be 4 times 3, because it's the number 4 3 times, oops, wrong number, which equals 12. Same here, the number 4 3 times, which equals 12. Okay, so on page 2, you are going to continue to draw your arrays, separating the rows with horizontal lines or the columns with vertical lines. So draw an array of x's with 3 rows of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then repeated addition to find that product, which equals 9. 3 rows of 3. And in this case, it's 3 times 3, sort of like a double, equals 9. All right, number 4, draw an array of x's with more rows of 3, 2 more rows of 3 than the array in problem 3. Okay, so now pay attention. You want to add on 2 more rows to this array. So what I would do is I would just copy the array and then add on 2 extra rows. So this is the array from problem 3. And then I'm adding on those extra rows right here. Let me move my paper up so you can see. Okay, so here's my rows of 3, the 2 extra rows of 3, remember? And then now you need to write a repeated addition equation to find the total number of x's. So up here, I had 3 plus 3 plus 3 in question 3. So now I'm repeating that and just adding on these 2 rows. Okay, so it's 3 plus 3 plus 3, and then plus 3 plus 3. So in this case, it's 5 rows of 3 instead of 3 rows of 3, which equals 3. I'm going to skip count. 6, 9, 12, 15. And then if we were to write that multiplication equation, it is 3 times 5, which equals 15, because it's the number 3 5 times. Question number 5. Draw an array of x's with 1 less column than the array in problem 4. So now we're not working with rows anymore. Now we're working with columns. So we're distinguishing the difference between rows and columns. So I'm going to just redraw this array, okay? And you could draw your lines if you need to, just to help you, if that makes it easier for you. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so now it's telling you to do 1 less column. Remember, columns are vertical. So I need to cross it off. So I'm going to use a different color. I'm going to completely cross it off and then look at my array that's left. Okay, write a repeated addition equation. Let me erase that. To find the total number of x's. So I could look at my rows, and I no longer have 3 in my rows. I now have 2. So I have 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So now I have 10. Okay, or it's 2 times 5, because it's the number 2, 5 times, which equals 10. Okay, and that's it. So let's take a look at your assignment on Seesaw. So it will be titled Arrays Using Rows and Columns. So the directions are that you need to use the pen or pencil to draw X's for the objects in each row or column to create an array. Please check page 1 for directions on how to draw the lines for rows or columns. Rows equals horizontal, columns equals vertical. Read the directions next to each problem. Use a pen or pencil tool. The problem asks you to write a repeated addition equation that represents the array. You can also use a text box, okay? Okay, so let's take a look. So remember, rows or horizontal, columns or vertical. So there are directions next to each question. Okay. So you just need, it's just basically the boxes of directions is kind of explaining this part more. Okay. That's in the problem. So you're going to either draw rows and you're going to draw vertical lines like this. I'm sorry, horizontal lines like this, as you see in question 1. Or question B, it's asking you to draw a vertical line, so it'd be like this. Okay. You can just draw X's, or a lot of you are using actually this tool and you're like, no, that's not what you're doing. I think this is what you're doing. Or no. Some of you are, no, this is not right. Sorry, my friends. Some of you are using, oh, you're using these little shapes, and I think you're just making them smaller. I think that's what you're doing. Oops. So you could use little shapes. That is not what I wanted. And maybe doing that, I don't know. So you could use that, or you could just draw the X's, which I like to do because it's so much quicker. Okay, let me delete that. So then on the second page, same thing. There's directions on the side. Okay. So you're going to draw your array, write your repeated addition equation. Question 4, draw your array. But on question 4, just like on my example, you're drawing one more row. Okay. So you need to repeat the array that you did in question 3 and then add another row. And then question 5, you're taking the array that you drew in question 4 and then you're doing one less column. Okay, and then you need to write a repeated addition equation. If you would like to challenge yourself and write a multiplication equation, I say go for it. Okay, my friends, good luck.